almost immediately after Joe Biden made his announcement yesterday that he was running for reelection, MSNBC reports that the Republican National Committee launched an attack ad, video ad, warning us poor, brutalized Americans about the perils inherent in a second Joe Biden term. Now, the speed, how quickly they got this attack ad out, the speed by which they did that was not surprising. This was it's been in the works. They've been waiting for Biden to make his announcement. But according to MSNBC, there was something unusual and unsettling about the ad itself. Specifically, it was made using artificial intelligence. Oh my God. We are really on the cusp of a period of time in human history that may be the last cusp that we're going to be on because of artificial intelligence. Have you been reading about this? The possibilities inherent in this technology? If you have been, it's very scary because of what the possibilities are. Now, this is just like nuclear, when we developed nuclear power. When all the shit was going on underneath the stadium in Chicago, when they were developing nuclear nuclear fission, the scientists, Oppenheimer and, who was the other guy? There were a bunch of them. Anyway, they were trying to get to splitting the atom. And there was a lot of concern that when they first set off the trigger that would start nuclear fission, that there might be no way of stopping it. Literally, every atom on Earth would split. Seriously. And observers from a million light years away would eventually just see a little boo flash over here in our part of the universe as this planet just dissolved into, nuclear nothingness. So they weren't sure, but they went ahead and pulled the trigger anyway. And the safeguards were in place to the degree that the experiment underneath Bear Stadium or whatever it was in Chicago demonstrated to the scientists that it could be done and it could be controlled, and all of a sudden a new universe that was unlike anything human beings had ever confronted opened up. So what was the first thing? What was the impetus to do this? The impetus to do this was destruction. The whole impetus of developing nuclear energy was to destroy the Japanese and, if necessary, to destroy the Nazis. I mean, that's what the project was all about. So after we used this new technology, just a couple of months later, to turn 200,000 people plus in 2 cities in Japan into literal nothingness, that was our first use of nuclear energy. Destruction, death, disease, sickness, murder, mayhem, terror. But after we did that, after we showed the world, you don't fuck with us or we will turn you into nothingness, then the scientific community, other than the weapons part of the scientific community, got onto nuclear energy and started discovering things, started finding out ways to use nuclear energy, all of which are dangerous, but most of which or a few of which I should say, also have some medicinal benefits, some life-giving benefits if it's used correctly, some benefits for propulsion, benefits for discovery, benefits for energy creation, yada, 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 on and on and on. Well, that's where we are right now on the last cusp that the human species, in my humble opinion, may ever stand on, and that is artificial intelligence. This shit has the power to completely destroy the human species. And there's a good chance that it will. Because this stuff, it's not just the good guys who control artificial intelligence or the current stage of its development. Everybody is getting in on this. Even the super bad guys, the monsters, the religious fanatics, the political crazy people, the wannabe dictators of the universe, they're all for artificial intelligence. God damn, do you realize what that can do for me? Woohoo! This is like a Buck Rogers science fiction comic book from the 1950s. I mean, this is some scary shit. Well, this is what the Republican National Committee did. They turned over to artificial intelligence the input necessary, and then they announced that they had, quote, an AI-generated look into the country's possible future if Joe Biden is reelected in 2024. And then the Republican National Committee, the Christian fascist demons who are trying to destroy this country, and once they get their hands fully around this, oh my God, it's not just this country that will be destroyed. But the RNC touted this commercial as the first ad completely based on artificial intelligence imagery. Now, as MSNBC points out, that likely explains why, in part, this political ad against Joe Biden was, in fact, shitty as a piece of messaging. But the clumsy execution of this idea, this technology, is masking something a lot darker. Just like the splitting of the atom. Oh my God, do you realize the energy that's available here? Yeah, let's use it first to go kill 150,000 people. Okay. Something darker here with artificial intelligence. Because this technology is only going to go in one direction. It's going to become more sophisticated over time. And along with the sophistication will come a more nuanced way to manipulate this technology, the goal of which will be to confuse, misinform, and manipulate the public. I mean, that is going to be, the term I used the other day, the prime directive of this new technology is manipulation. That's it. Now, you may disagree. Well, Mike, the promise of AI is far greater than that. Well, you may choose to look at it that way. I'm not using manipulation as a totally negative word. Just maybe 90% of it is negative. The other 10%, manipulate genetic material, manipulate theories in physics or in quantum mathematics, manipulate ideas beyond the scope of the human brain to come up with stuff that is really, really beneficial. But that's not what we humans do. We first decide how new inventions can be used to destroy. No, seriously. It may just be to destroy cancer cells or something. But these massive technologies, like nuclear weapons, like artificial intelligence, usually the first objective, or at least the first thought of the people who develop these technologies, It's not, oh, gee, I can write a novel now without even having to think and put together a complete coherent sentence. No, 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 no. I can use artificial intelligence to do anything I want, which is usually the ramblings inside the head of a, cartoonish madman, dictator wannabe, or mad woman. I mean, somebody who's insane. You can see them cackling and rubbing their heads together as they stand there in their lab coat. Now look what I can do. Oh, boy. Today the lab, tomorrow the universe. That kind of shit, right? Back to the ad. Now, the video, if you use the standards of video production, the video was a failure. But future attempts are not going to be failures. The ad itself, the one I'm talking about, the one that they released so quickly, features a set of what-if scenarios based on what the Republicans, what the Christian terrorists want America to be terrified about if Biden gets a second term. At the beginning of this ad, sirens blare. A speculative images show China invading Taiwan, bombings, warships, angry nationalists marching in the streets. Then the ad asks, what if financial systems crumble? And cuts to images of boarded up businesses and long lines of people. And then the ad goes on to show hypothetical images of 80,000 illegals flooding the U.S., San Francisco overrun by criminals and gangs, troops deployed in the streets in response. You see what I mean? But the RNC touted it as the first political ad made with artificial intelligence. Okay. Now, right before the break, I told you what the ad, what it does, the opening scenes of sirens blaring and China invading Taiwan and bombs and warships, all this shit that the Christian fascists, this is what they use. This is the only thing they're capable of doing, is using fear and loathing. Which is what, really, when you get down to it, I'm sorry, I didn't invent the Christian religion. I really didn't. But fear and loathing is the core of Christianity. Fear of death. Loathing of the other. It's the central tenet. If you don't believe what we believe, your ass and your other body parts will burn in hell for all eternity. Jesus Christ, so to speak. What kind of a message is that? Well, it's fear and loathing. So, the former Republican Party is now wholly owned by Christian demonics. The craziest part of Christianity has now become the overarching part of what used to be the Republican Party. It is now the Christian Fascist Party. So this ad talks about financial systems crumbling and gangs marching in the street and troops coming in. Just blood and bombs and fire and hell and all kinds of shit. San Francisco overrun by criminals and gangs. This is how the former Republican Party, the Christian Nationalist Party, this is how they want to get your vote. Think about this. That's what we are being reduced to by the Christian Fascist Party. For millennia, the Christian fascists used the same tactics to maintain power. Not power in the so-called New World, but political power, religious power, power over human beings. Millions of human beings. Don't even try to contemplate how many people were butchered, burned alive, died, destroyed because of Christian fascism. Don't. because you'll go mad. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.